Number 10. Stained Glass Scarlet. Stained Glass Scarlet is a young god who came into existence following her own death. That is, following the death of her mortal self, Scarlet Facinera. Scarlet had a tragic and rough life, filled with mistreatment by the men who she would have likely expected to trust the most. After her death in the same church where both her son and her husband also lost their lives, her story spread, gaining power. This power allowed Scarlet to return as a young goddess, who is connected to Moon Knight, seemingly immortal and possesses the ability to control glass. Number 9. Storm. While Storm might not be a god in the traditional sense, she was worshipped as a weather goddess for quite a while because of her abilities. And considering how powerful she is, and how much we all love her, I think we would all agree that she has more than earned her goddess status. When it comes to Storm's power levels, we have seen them spike to the point that the whole world was affected by her weather manipulation abilities. At the same time that this happened, as a reaction to her then claustrophobia, her power was also likened to that of the Phoenix, partially because it was so awesome and partially because it was so volatile. Over the years, Storm has gained more and more control over her powers and also healed from the trauma that caused her claustrophobia, meaning that she is pretty much in full control now. And she proved more recently in the comics during her battle against Tarn the Uncaring that she also doesn't need her mutant powers to be a deadly badass. Also, I feel like she's definitely in control of the ability to just manipulate weather on a planetary level, because we've seen her do that with Mars. At least I'm pretty sure she's done that on Mars. So yeah, there's also that. And friends, if you are loving this list and you would love to see some more lists where we get to pump up some of the most powerful ladies in Marvel Comics or DC Comics or indie comics or all of the above, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 8. HERA. HERA is a member of the Pantheon of Olympus. She is a Greek goddess who traditionally is associated in Greek mythology and belief with motherhood, family, childbirth, and marriage. In Marvel, she is likewise the wife of Zeus, but more recently in the comics, her and the other Olympians took a turn to become powerful villains. They were killed by the vengeful goddess Nyx and later returned as tyrannical and greedy gods who raised planets with a vengeance. In the end, they were defeated by the Guardians of the Galaxy, lost as Star-Lord was lost on the other side of reality. Eventually though, Star-Lord learned the Dark Olympians had escaped due to him using his elemental gun, where their power had been trapped and stored. They returned with him back to Earth and were more permanently defeated, at least so it seems, when they were seemingly killed by the Guardians, Hera included. She was squashed in the end by Groot. R.I.P. Hera. Number 7. Hela. Hela is the ruler of the Norse and Asgardian underworld. While in the MCU we know her as Loki and Thor's mysterious sister who was locked away in punishment for her continuous pursuit of war against Odin's wishes after he ultimately decided to kinda usher in an era of peace. In the comics main continuity of Earth 616, she is not Thor's sister, but instead, she's his niece. That's right, the Hela of Earth 616 is believed to be one of Loki's children, his daughter. She ended up becoming the ruler of the underworld as was decreed by Odin. Though just because she isn't a shunned sister who seeks revenge on Asgard doesn't mean that she isn't a villain, and doesn't mean that she doesn't sometimes try to seek revenge on Asgard. Even on Earth 616, Hela is known for her generally villainous intentions, and there was even a prophecy when she was born warning that she would be a great danger to the other gods and goddesses of Asgard. Number 6. Enchantress. Amora the Enchantress is one of the most powerful magic users in the Marvel Universe, and also happens to be a goddess within the realm of Asgard. She has been known by many names other than Amora, including Idun and Idunna, but what she has symbolized has always remained the same. Enchantress is meant to be the symbol of the perfect female form, known for her beauty and charm, which allows her to bend others, especially men, to her will. It is because of her beauty that Enchantress was deemed the only one to pick the golden apples from Yggdrasil. Although her backstory and origin are steeped in lore and Norse mythology, in the comics most people know her mainly as a villainess, who often goes up against the hero Thor, among others. Number 5. Aegis. Aegis is one of the Proemil gods, who are known for being the oldest in the cosmos. They are believed to have come into existence right after the first Big Bang, and were possibly the first entities that existed after that. Although, to be honest with you, With gods and goddesses, it seems like a lot of groups claim to be the oldest or the first. Aegis was one member of the Promeal pantheon to become corrupted, seeking new purpose after she was no longer needed. Attempting to rise up with her fellow rebellious gods, she ended up imprisoned along with her peers by Galactus, and she remained there for many years, although she would eventually escape and would later perish. Her power was said to rival that of Galactus and his heralds combined. That's pretty powerful. Number 4. Phoenix. One of the most powerful entities in the cosmos is the Phoenix Force. While the Phoenix doesn't always take a female host, I would say that many of the Force's hosts have been female, especially if we're focusing on the more notable ones. Currently in the comics, the Phoenix Force is bonded to Echo, aka Hero Maya Lopez, but its most well-known host is probably that of Marvel Girl, aka classic X-Men teammate Jean Grey. You might not think of Phoenix as a god either, but the entity has been worshipped both by some on planet Earth in the past and by the Shi'ar at one point. Number 3. Celestial Madonna. Celestials are known for being all-powerful and almost impossible to defeat or fight against. We got our first taste of just how ginormous and seemingly unstoppable they can be in Eternals when the team of heroes decided to stand together to prevent the Celestials from destroying Earth, which they had decided to defend as their home. Most Celestials tend to skew male, or simply could be considered to be without gender, but Celestial Madonna is unique, as she is one of the few featured Celestials to actually have a seemingly female form. Celestial Madonna has only appeared in a few issues, but she is a Celestial, so we can imagine that she must be one of the most powerful, probably female, gods or goddesses around in the Marvel Universe. Because Celestials. Number 2. Gaia. Gaia is literally known as Mother Earth in the Marvel Universe. She made her first appearance back in the 1970s in the 1974 series of Doctor Strange, in issue number 6. Back then she was introduced as Mother Nature, but would later become known as Gaia. Gaia is believed to be one of the oldest goddesses on the planet Earth and is related to the god of chaos, Chthon, who is also known for his ties to Avenger Scarlet Witch in the comics. Gaia belongs to the family of elder gods, and like many on this list, is going to be kinda hard to rank because she's pretty much maxed in almost all stats, considering that she is an extremely ancient being and entity. Basically, I feel like with this list, it's really hard to put them in any order because you're like, I mean, they're all pretty powerful. So yeah, you can let me know if you have a different order for the ones that I have here based on what you've read in the comics about them. Number 1. Death. Death is an entity we are familiar with in a few different forms, but for this point I'm going to be focusing on the version that Thanos is typically seen pining after, which is honestly typically the version we associate with Death when we're talking about her in the Marvel Universe. Sometimes referred to as Mistress Death, she made her first appearance in Marvel Mystery Comics issue number 21 back in the 1940s. So not only is she old and ancient in the world of the Marvel Universe, but also within Marvel Comics history as well.
Kicking off the list at number 10, we have Iron Man. The Fear Itself storyline is a wild ride. The Serpent is after Earth and people are getting turned into statues. It is a absolute nightmare. Tony is fighting Mock in the streets of Paris and it's not looking good, so now we need another plan. What's plan B? Plan B was Tony getting permission from Odin himself, forge a weapon of his own on Nidavellir. Now Tony ends up making weapons for the entire team after sobering up. He was really slamming drinks down and then he prayed to Odin. You know, really going through it. And then in issue 7, Tony and the team now have an Asgardian makeover. Just walking, talking hammers of Thor, basically. Now they of course won, everything went back to normal, but Tony destroyed the weapons afterwards because, you know, you can't have those things lying around, obviously. Number 9, Star-Lord. Okay, we gotta go to film just for one point here because we can't leave this one out. At the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 1, Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord, was able to hold an Infinity Stone with his bare hands. He held the Power Stone. Now this didn't go unnoticed. Even groups of beings in the past have tried to do that by sharing the power amongst all of them, and it never works. They end up going like, whoa, and they turn to skeletons. Now his real father turned out to be a Celestial. He was a living planet. His name was Ego. Rightfully so. So Ego goes around and he like reproduces all over the galaxy and then he wipes the planets out. He gets bigger and stronger. He's a god. Peter Quill's now a god as well. They're playing god, son, and father catch. So as long as Ego's alive, Star-Lord is basically a god. We have a big celestial battle at the end of the movie where he's fighting his dad and he's turning into Pac-Man. It's kind of weird. It's a little dumb, but it's fun. So once Ego was taken care of, Peter lost his god powers and went back to just normal, plain old Star-Lord, which is still pretty cool. I'm kind of glad he's not a god because that was a weird part. I mean, it would have been helpful in Infinity War. Maybe all those punches to Thanos' face would have done some damage rather than, you know, kill everyone. Number 8, Crystal. She made her first debut in Fantastic Four issue 45, and she was the second child born from Inhumans, Quaylen and Amber. Now, she actually brought Quicksilver back to Adelon to heal him, then the two fell in love there. She's basically a god. I have to include her because, I mean, she's pretty underrated. She has a bunch of these incredible abilities, and one of those abilities is atomic manipulation. She can rearrange atoms and all of the elements as well. She can control anything in the universe, basically. That plus her ability to levitate without the help of any elemental powers. I don't really know what else to call her. She's definitely a god. And if she ever is under attack, she can use air molecules and bind them together psionically and then make a force field for herself. So you don't want to mess with Crystal. Very underrated, 100%. Number 7, Wolverine. Wolverine's been known to be the time travel guy. He makes the confusing runs because his regeneration ability allows him to really go deep. It gives him the advantage in Days of Future Past type plots. Now in Uncanny X-Men Annual, a villain named Horde comes in and wipes the entire team out, Wolverine included, but a single drop of blood saves the day. A single drop from Wolverine falls onto the Crystal of Ultimate Vision, and then bam, Wolverine now leveled up, he regrows his body with his new power, and then he brings the pain down on Horde. It's unreal. It's pretty amazing to see. Like, Logan is just so happy in these scenes. I mean, obviously he's a god, but he knows all the secrets of the universe. He's finally had peace. Look at him. He even referenced another X-Men who once became a god herself. That X-Men being? Number 6, Jean Grey. Jean Grey is a mutant born with telekinetic and telepathic powers. She was one of the original members of the X-Men, and seeing the potential in Jean's strength, the Phoenix Force attached itself to her while she was in danger during a space mission with the Fantastic Four. That all happens during X-Men issue 101. So now she's a Dark Phoenix and she's full of power, full on god mode. This dark, powerful cosmic force started to change her for the worse. She ended up destroying a solar system that killed like, I don't know, billions of people, and then it ended up taking her own life in order to keep the universe safe. So a few years later, it was revealed that it wasn't actually the Jean Grey that had died. It was just the Phoenix as a separate entity that had taken over her mind and all that stuff. The Phoenix Saga is one of the biggest transformations to an X-Men member. If you haven't read it, go check it out immediately. Number 5, Kurth. This one comes from Fear Itself storyline. Juggernaut was already pretty terrifying to begin with, but then he got an upgrade and a prison was destroyed. It was a mess. The Hammer of Kurth was one of the 7 mystical warhammers that the serpent summoned to awaken the worthy. Remember that serpent guy that I mentioned earlier? That's the same one. So the hammer crashed onto the raft and Juggernaut just happened to be detained at the raft at that exact time. And the most frightening and obvious and most entertaining thing happened. He was quickly turned into Kurth, Breaker of Stone, which sounds even more scary than Juggernaut somehow. He attacked a nearby guard with one hit and the shockwave was so powerful that the prison and all the land around it just exploded. And at the same time, Hulk became Null, Breaker of Worlds. So it was a mess. Whoever had to sweep up the streets after this, their back must be in so much pain. Number 4, Kid Omega. Quintavious Quire made his first appearance in X-Men issue 134. He's been described as one of the most powerful telepaths next to Jean Grey. He stood out to Professor X as a brilliant student and his abilities were never crystal clear. On his birthday, when he was still young, he received this fantastic phone call from his parents to say that he was adopted. Yeah, happy birthday, worst gift ever. So from then on, it went downhill. He got this Omega tattoo that he covered over the X tattoo, and he was in the Omega Gang now. And the Omega Gang handled humans that committed crimes against mutants in their own dark way. So he was troubled, to say the least. But things got harder for him when the Phoenix Force came along, as things always do. This happens in Wolverine and the X-Men issue 37. Quentin gets a good look at the Phoenix Force when he becomes an avatar to it, and his future self was shown to be a host as well. Real trippy moment for him. Number 3, Batman. The Mobius chair is a pretty powerful chair. It made its first appearance in New Gods issue 1, and the chair was created by Mobius himself, aka the Anti-Monitor. Now he gave the chair to Metron, but Metron slipped up one day, and Batman ended up becoming a god for a hot minute. It's pretty sweet. Wonder Woman grabbed Metron with her lasso and pulled his ass right off, and right before he could summon boom tubes, Batman just jumped on it like musical chairs. And then the Dark Knight becomes a bright light. He became the god of knowledge. Batman became the god of knowledge. What an upgrade that was. The whole team is fighting Darkseid and Batman is just floating in this chair, figuring the universe out the entire time. Like, oh my god. He's searching the cosmos for answers and it's honestly quite the spectacle to read. And as if things couldn't get better for him, add a power ring into the mix. Yeah, this guy was literally unstoppable. Number 2, Supergirl. Kara Zor-El was 15 years old when her cousin Kal-El was born. She was launched into space right before Krypton's demise and spent 2 decades orbiting orbiting Earth's sun while she remained in stasis. Now her pod eventually crashed down in Siberia, and these giant armed robots started to, try and fight her. Now when she fought back, she learned that she wasn't the same. She learned that she was a lot stronger than whatever the hell was around her. And then when Superman himself showed up, the two fought, as she didn't really recognize the stranger or believe him about Krypton's, So right off the bat, she's got a lot of rage and confusion inside of her. Now this rage had a chance to come out and get even with the world when she became the Red Daughter of Krypton. This was an ultimate upgrade, definitely counting this as becoming a god. I mean, look at her, that's pretty cosmic and unstoppable. I don't really know what else to call her. And as crazy as it may sound, joining the Red Lanterns helped Kara get over her anger and isolation issues, and she gained emotional stability from it. Get over your depression in these easy steps, just become a god. 4 issues later in Red Lanterns 32, Guy Gardner kicked her out for her own safety. But for that bit of time, Kara was probably loving life. And finally, number 1, Wonder Woman. Now I know Wonder Woman is already basically a god, being the daughter of Zeus and all, but once she became a god of war in the New 52. Wonder Woman issue 23 and 24, we find Wonder Woman taking on the Firstborn, but it wasn't looking good for Diana. She needed help until she went god mode on everybody. Diana has to make the hard choice of driving a spear through Firstborn and Ares, so Ares gave Diana congratulations for being a mighty warrior, and Wonder Woman spared the Firstborn's life and took Ares to the River Styx. And then when Wonder Woman returned, the gods declared her the new god of war. What a promotion.
Number 10, Dormammu. Known as the Lord of the Dark Dimension, Dormammu was born thousands to millions of years ago in the dimension of the vastly powerful energy entities called the Faltine. Dormammu and his sibling Umar gathered matter to themselves to increase their power, a practice to their fellow Faltine, becoming their dimension's mightiest sorcerers. Ultimately slaying their parent Sinifer, they were driven from their home dimension, and the Faltine deemed their gathering of such energy intolerable, so they assumed some human forms to explore others. Now you know Dormammu is strong because Odin himself considers him to be equal in strength and power, which he mentions in the Avengers Defenders War event. He's also been known to corrupt Odin's spells against his will, meaning that the sheer magical might that Dormammu wields is potentially equal to beings like Agamotto. His sorcery over the flames of Faltine also demonstrates his raw power, which he used to burn the Celestials even one time. His power is also strengthened and replenished from beings worshipping him throughout the various dimensions. In his dimension, he can banish anyone that enters if he so chooses, but he usually likes to fight them instead. He is a constant threat to the Vishanti and the universe as an entire whole, so check out his whole story in his first appearance in 1964's Strange Tales number 126. Number 9, Trigon. Now if you're like me, then your first introduction to Trigon was through the Teen Titans show that aired in 2003 all the way to 2006. But trust me when I say that there is more to the character than what the show, showed. Trigon came into existence thousands of years ago when a group of humans abandoned life on Earth and then established a group of pacifists in the interdimensional world of Azarath. Embracing the concept of peace, these humans exorcised the dark passions of their souls from their bodies and cast it beyond the Great Door of Azarath into the Netherrealm. And then this leftover evil energy floated into space for years before finally coalescing into a single physical form. The last inhabitants of an alien world summoned this darkness from the ether and it impregnated a woman from the Order. And then 9 months later, Trigon was born. Very early on, Trigon showed just how evil he was as he killed every single member of that pacifist group, including his own mother, and then within a year he had conquered that entire planet. Now, Trigon is rarely shown at full power, but from what we've seen, thanks to his demon physiology, he is capable of Eldritch Blast, size alteration, reality-altering magic, illusion magic, and transformation. Definitely check him out for yourself if you've got the time, starting with his first appearance in 1981's New Teen Titans number 4. Number 8, Darkseid. One of the eldest and first new gods, Darkseid is the tyrannical ruler of the world Apocalypse. As a new god, he is a conceptual being that exists outside the normal universe in a realm called the Fourth World. Darkseid has also been called the god of evil, and while there are a few in the multiverse that could surpass him in his monstrousness, Darkseid is probably more accurately known as the god of tyranny. Darkseid's ultimate goal is to rule the universe and eliminate free will entirely. In his never-ending quest to possess the dreaded anti-life equation, there are few lengths that the new god won't go to in order to make his dream a reality. He's conquered a countless number of universes, as few can actually stand up to his powers. He's armed with super strength, telekinesis, immortality, energy and mass manipulation, his omega powers, and a seemingly countless number of others. Honestly, there's little he can't do. Whenever Darkseid arrives on the scene, it's typically an all-hands-on-deck scenario. Only beings with Superman-level power and above are able to hold their own against the new god. Even though he and HIGHFATHER are equal in strength, Darkseid is far more vicious and deadly out of the two, and that's why he is on this list today. Check out his story starting with his first appearance in 1970's Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, number 134. Number 7, Morpheus. Also known as Sandman or Dream, Morpheus is the lord of all that is not real, meaning dreams and stories. He came into existence once the first life forms were capable of complex thought and began dreaming, and that's when he became one of the Endless, the children of time, personifications of ideas and concepts that were tied to life, and were fated to fulfill their functions until the universe ended and all life disappeared from the cosmos. As the personification of dreams, he possesses absolute control over sleep, dreams, nightmares, and even insomnia, and this has granted him other powers such as, but not limited to, cosmic awareness, energy absorption, metamorphosis, telekinesis, and of course, the standard superhuman strength, stamina, and reflexes. Now interestingly enough, despite being immortal, Morpheus was able to die, and actually did at one point, which caused a reality storm that rippled across time and space. Gods like Darkseid may pose a universal threat, but Morpheus existed in any and all dimensions in which there are dreams, and that makes his reach so much further and just a little bit more terrifying. Check out Morpheus for yourself, starting all the way back in 1989 Sandman Volume 2, number 1. Number 6. Chaos King. Amatsu Mikabashi is none other than the Chaos King, the god of evil, chaos, and the stars to the followers of the Shinto religion in Japan. He possessed the conventional abilities of one of the kami, the order of Japanese deities, such as superhuman strength, speed, durability, agility, endurance, and recuperative abilities, as well as high ability to wield some form of potent Japanese dark magic, a brand of sorcery that seems especially effective against the Olympian deities. His physical strength, at least in his main incarnation, is considerably lesser to that of Zeus or Izanagi per se, and is roughly equal to that of the average kami, but Mikabashi can project energy on a scale at least rivaling that of Zeus and Izanagi. Like the Asgardians, the Japanese gods are extremely long-lived but not truly immortal like the Olympians, as they tend to age at an extremely slow rate upon reaching adulthood and are 3 times denser than normal human beings. During the events of the Chaos War, we catch a glimpse of Chaos King teamed up with Necra and none other than the Grim Reaper and Abomination to fight against the other gods. He even goes as far as unleashing Carrion Crow, Eater of the Dead, to antagonize the revived X-Men members. Now all in all, he is brutal in terms of methods and isn't really too easy on the eyes, so check him out for yourself, starting with 2006 Thor, Blood Oath number 6. Number 5. The Darkest Night. Now before anyone calls me out on this, I want to make it clear why he is so low on this list today. It's because this literally just happened in the comics, so there's like no information on him, so it's kind of tough to decide where he should be on the list. Now that being said though, he still deserves to be talked about today. Now formerly known as the Batman Who Laughs, Earth -22's Bruce Wayne is a bit more evil than the others. After snapping Joker's neck, a mysterious gas entered his body and caused his mind and body to transform into an insane Batman-Joker hybrid. Now that's basically all you really need to know for this instance, so let's talk about how he turned into the Darkest Night. So it's revealed in Dark Knight's Death Metal issue 2 that the Batman Who Laughs has been in possession of the body of a mysterious blue Bruce Wayne, and that he had a plan revolving around him. After his death at the hands of Wonder Woman, this plan goes underway as Alfred takes the brain of the evil Batman and places it inside the body of the blue Bruce, who is revealed to be a Batman Dr. Manhattan hybrid that I call Batmanhattan. Before long, the Batman Who Laughs wakes up in his new body, now more powerful than ever, as he possesses all of the powers of Dr. Manhattan, the intellect of Batman, and the insanity of the Joker. Without hesitation, he pulverizes all of his followers except for the Robin King, but he doesn't stop quite there. The Batman Who Laughs has no interest in being the pure blue-like character. Instead, he alters his shape yet again to become a monstrous creature of shadow. Put simply, this is the most powerful Batman we've ever seen to date, and I personally can't wait to see what's to come. Check out the lead up to this reveal starting with 2020's Dark Knight's Death Metal number 1. Number 4. Thor. The god of thunder, Thor Odinson, is easily one of the strongest beings in the Marvel Universe. When Odin and Gaia, the goddess of earth, came together, the two immortal beings had, well, Thor, designing him to be the strongest of all the other gods in Asgard. It shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone, but Thor is, well, ridiculously strong, with Superman-level strength, invulnerability, a kinship with the elements themselves, and boasts of the ability to wield the mighty mystical hammer Mjolnir. Capable of destroying planets while wielded by Thor, Mjolnir can warp reality, control storms of staggering intensity, enable him to fly at light speed, teleport, and honestly pretty much anything else. While Mjolnir boosted Thor's incredible strength, it also serves as a conduit, as in extreme circumstances Thor can summon his elemental power without any aid. Thor is so powerful that during the Siege storyline, after Norman Osborn and his Dark Avengers almost invaded Asgard, he, well, straight up stopped them. Unfortunately, Sentry swooped in later to topple the city of Asgard, but he was ultimately defeated by none other than Thor again. As the North god of thunder, Thor has the ability to use different aspects of storms such as lightning, rain, wind, and whatever else as weapons. Not to mention his durability is truly something to behold, as in Thor number 300 he withstood the energy blast from the Celestials themselves. He's also been able to fight off the Frost Giants for months at a time without needing to even rest or have any sustenance of any kind, in Thor the Trial of Thor number 1. In his warrior mindset state, Thor's strength and stamina can increase exponentially, but it takes possession of him in some sort of way. It's like a blind fury that will attack everyone around him, including his friends and allies. Now truly, there are a few mortals who can challenge the Thunder God. Check out his soul story starting with 1950s Venus, number 11. Number 3, the One Below All. Residing in the lowest depths of the underworld known as the Below Place, the One Below All is the dark counterpart of the One Above All. It is the source of the mutagenic third form of gamma energy, which allows it to use gamma mutates to manifest itself whenever it feels it's necessary. The One Below All is actually what gave the Hulk his powers in the first place, as the gamma bomb test partially opened the green door that Below was kept behind. Fast forward through some really cool events that you should definitely check out for yourself, and we see the One Below All possess the body of Brian Banner as the Devil Hulk, Walter Longkowski as Sasquatch, and the Absorbing Man, which led to the final battle of the Immortal Hulk arc. Revealing its true form, a giant green cloud of crazy gamma energy, the One Below All torments the Hulk so much that Bruce Banner and the Hulk actually separate. However, Absorbing Man was able to reroute the gamma energy that the demon was using into the Hulk's body, and with one just big ol' thunderclap, the One Below All was stopped, at least that time anyways. One Below All is just way too strong, and I will be surprised if he ever appears in, well, anything really. I highly doubt we'll see him anytime soon, so check him out in his first appearance in 2018's Immortal Hulk, number 5. Number 2, the One Above All. Now we can't talk about the One Below All and not go over the One Above All. Easily one of the most powerful beings across all comics, the One Above All is the embodiment of unknowable concept of the transcendent other. With limitless power, he's the one who jump-started reality as we know it, and created whatever rules govern the cosmos and the ethereal entities that run them. He can often choose not to interfere in matters, though he rarely reveals himself to individuals. However, a few times that has happened, like with Peter Parker, and even the time he appeared as Jack Kirby to the Fantastic Four. He is the anchor point for all the power and magic that exists in the multiverse. Now it's rumored that the One Above All might even be Stan Lee himself, as he's capable of creating or destroying all reality should he so choose. In Thor Annual number 14, Thor discusses the existence of the One Above All by saying that it's humbling to know that while the Living Tribunal is one of the most powerful beings in all of the universe, the One Above All who created everything must just be greater than all of his creations combined. The One Above All comes to Peter Parker as a beggar to comfort him after the webhead falls into a spell of depression. He doesn't understand why his life just seems like one big tragedy after the next. But the One Above All reminds Peter of all the good that he's done and the people that he's saved. It was a truly touching issue that introduced us to the true god of the Marvel Universe, who gave Peter the advice he needed to live a long and happy life. So check it out for yourself in 2007's Sensational Spider-Man number 40. Number 1, The Presence. Now we talked about Marvel's true god, so let's take a look at DC's answer to that same question. Put simply, the Presence is the fictionalized counterpart to the god of the Abrahamic but mostly Christian religions. It is considered infinite and eternal and second only to the Primal Monitor, which is essentially the writer or the canvas and paper of whatever comic book he's featured in. Ignoring that, the Presence is otherwise absolute in power. While it can still be hurt or killed like most other deities, the Presence will actually come back. This form that you see the Presence in normally is actually one of the many that he's taken throughout the course of history, so let's go over some of the more well-known. The voice form is the disembodied voice of God that spoke to and empowered Jim Corrigan as the Spectre, and it's actually the primal force in charge of the Spectre's powers. This is the most active version of God seen, to the point that it even answers the Spectre's prayers by resurrecting the murdered Justice Society. When the voice uttered the first word, it created the word, and it was already being traced by Destiny in his book. Now the hand form is, well, a hand that was seen coming out of the nebula at the moment of creation. This is the presence that the rogue guardian Krona saw when he went back to the beginning of time. The hand has been seen again by the Swamp Thing, Deadman, and the Phantom Stranger when heaven was threatened by the return of the original darkness. And finally, the Presence is an unseen entity who commences the allegiance of the host of angels. Check out this god in its first appearance in 1940's More Fun Comics number 52.
Starting off at number 10, Zeus. First appearing in Superman 28 back in 1944, Zeus is a name many would recognize, not just comic book fans. So Zeus is the father of many, including none other than Diana Prince, aka Wonder Woman, who I'll get to a bit later on in the list. Zeus is one of the gods of Olympus, so he basically possesses unlimited power. He's kind of a big deal in mythology. Kind of. Which one would only expect being the son of Cronus and Rhea. How powerful is Zeus, you ask? Well, for starters, he can manipulate weather, like the weather. Little less known fact about him is he could also shapeshift, resurrect the dead, and create new life. Zeus was referenced in the 2017 Wonder Woman film, obviously, along with other Olympian gods. We catch a look at him in the Justice League movie, and I would love to see more of this guy. I mean, he uses a lightning bolt to separate the 3 mother boxes in the film. I would love to see more of these things that he can do. Like, it's Zeus. Can we just get an entire trilogy? I'll watch it. If you haven't already seen Justice League, you might as well wait for the Snyder Cut at this point. Number 9, METRON. Making his first appearance in New Gods Godhead issue 1 back in 2014, METRON is also referred to as the owner of the Morpheus chair. He created the technology known as boom tubes. He also once survived an attack from Darkseid's daughter, and if you're not aware of who Darkseid is, that's why we have part 1, so go on over and check that out as soon as you're done here. METRON, okay, he's considered one of the most intelligent beings in existence, for good reason. This Morpheus chair I mentioned, it's a pretty sweet setup. It allows for METRON to travel between any location and timeline in any universe at any time. Batman once had this chair and he still was concerned about street crimes. Classic Batsy. That is until Owlman came in and ruined the day. Number 8, HIGHFATHER. Also known as Isaiah the Inheritor, he made his first appearance in Wonder Woman Volume 4, Issue 14. He's the ruler of New Genesis and is a powerful new god who wants to bring peace to the multiverse. And he's also out to destroy his brother and worst enemy, you guessed it, Darkseid, who again is covered in part 1. Just go check it out. Leave this video, go check it out and come back. No hard feelings. Isaiah lives outside of normal time and space as well, even the New 52 universes. So since he got his powers, he actually doesn't age. So that dude's gonna look fresh forever. He can also feel when something isn't right in the universes, especially when it has something to do with his brother Darkseid. He can also get in your head, like literally. He can mentally link himself to you and eventually cause physical damage. That's how powerful he is. And if that's not scary enough, he can take a regular boring human, like myself, and within seconds turn them into a new god just by thinking about it. He even once obtained the Genesis Scepter, channeling the white light of life, giving him access to the power of the life equation, but he ended up destroying it because he felt too much guilt. Too much power? I mean, maybe. We gotta draw the line somewhere. Number 7, Wonder Woman. The daughter of Zeus herself, I only thought it was fitting to put her in this list. We've seen her in movies deflecting bullets, and we're gonna see her ride lightning whenever Wonder Woman 1984 finally gets released. Wear a mask. But just how strong is Diana Prince? The Queen of the Amazons was living a pretty chill life. That is until Steve Trevor, played by the oh-so-fine Chris Pine, ended up crash landing on the island Themyscira. A tournament was held to decide who was going back to Man's Land with Trevor. So Diana thrived and even completed the final task of deflecting a bullet fired from her own mother. Awarded with the lasso of truth and a badass suit of armor, she was on her way to the top in no time. She was donned the name Wonder Woman by the press after she handled some terrorist. It's been handled, son! Using the bracelets of submission, she can deflect bullets. And as the bracelets are made of the 8th metal, which is a pretty strong metal, the lasso of truth is exactly what you think it is. The gods of Olympus gave it to the Amazons and it was their prized relic for a long time. She can actually blind you with this thing while making you spill your deepest, darkest secrets. So you don't want to bump into Diana Prince anytime soon, believe me. Number 6, Lucifer Morningstar. Making his first appearance in Sandman Volume 2, Issue 4, he's a fallen archangel and he actually used to rule hell at one point. That's right, like hell. You know. He was cast out for rebelling against the kingdom of heaven, so after about 10 billion years, give or take, he decided to abandon his lordship over hell. That's a long time, like a long time. During this time, Lucifer had manipulated the demons in hell so that they would go against each other. Like he would just stir shit up, spreading rumors. It was basically a reality show for demons down there. He's like, yo man, Hela told me you couldn't read, is that true? While swirling some wine. I dig it. So eventually he got bored of this and decided it was time to move on. He was getting tired of being treated the same all the time. Everyone thinks he's the guy that purchases and trades souls, which isn't exactly the case. His job description is just to punish whoever ends up down there. And he thought it was quite unfair that he had to rule there forever simply because he rebelled. Like, come on guys, it was one time, relax. So he handed the keys to hell over to 2 angels, Duma and Remiel, and retired to Earth. What a weird retirement. Yep, happy retirement. The subway never runs. You're gonna be late always. See ya. His powers, however, unmatchable. Because he's an archangel, he still retains some of those powers. Like for starters, he can manipulate any external force for any effect he desires. He can create flames with his hands and then travel realm to realm. What a hot high five you would give. He can go to hell, literally, go to hell, and then immediately go to the void, which is a space outside of creation itself. His only weakness, if you want to call it a weakness, is that he can't create something from nothing. Big deal. He even once cast a spell on a door, making it so that if that door was opened, it would unmake all of creation. Not bad. That's, for magic, not bad. I can do the thumb thing, so What's up, Lucifer? Get at me, bro. Number 5, death. That's right, I said death. She's too powerful not to include. Being born with the universe, in a similar way eternity embodies life and growth, there has to be an equal and opposite, that being death, in which embodies decay and destruction. I like death a lot. The character. I don't walk around with Ouija boards on me. I'm not, not into that. Well, I mean, kind of. We'll talk. Making her first appearance in Captain Marvel issue 26, Death is actually really close with Thanos. I was really hoping to see more of this relationship in the MCU, but I mean, Cate Blanchett playing Hela kind of filled that void for me a bit. That was good fun, she's great. But Death, yes, they're different. Death was intrigued by Thanos from the start. She manifested herself to look like a young girl in his school when he was just a little wee Thanos. Little wee Thane Thanos. She convinced Thanos to kill a whole nest of critters after the same critters allegedly were the cause of a recent cave collapse, killing Thanos' friends. So yeah, she's kind of like the bad cop. There's another character that's in love with Death, and that character happens to be the merc with the mouth, Deadpool. I'll save that for another time. So what can this cosmic level entity do besides whisper bad ideas in your head? Well, every lost soul belongs to her, simply put. She cannot die, obviously, as she's not really alive to begin with. In fact, Thanos and Gamora are the only ones that can actually see Death in her true form, except for when you're dying. Then you'll see her for sure. And you don't want to see her. Number 4, Perpetua. Arguably the most feared being in the greater Omniverse, making her debut in Justice League Volume 4, Issue 8, Perpetua created the multiverse, using negative crisis energies, also referred to as the 7 hidden forces of creation. So once it was created, she then made 3 sons to inhabit the multiverse, those being Mar-Novu, Alpheus, and Morbius. The multiverse consists of 3 main realms with different matter. So Mar-Novu got the positive matter realm, Alpheus got the dark matter realm, and Morbius the antimatter realm. Perpetua's role was already filled, being the creator, so now all she has to do was just make sure her children don't die. Infinite power, biofusion, molecular reconstruction, reality alterations, this chick has it all. She even once sent the Justice Society of America back in time. I would be crazy not to have her in this list. You gotta check out more of her. Number 3, Gaia. First appearing in Doctor Strange Volume 2, Issue 6, Gaia uses an unlimited amount of power drawn from the Earth. She's literally Mother Earth. So whenever you hear people say that, now you have a face to put along with it. So before any life on Earth was even created, Gaia is commonly referred to as the caretaker of evolution. She was actually the one who decided for the dinosaurs to become extinct. She's like, yeah, you with the long neck, get out of here. You're a bit too much. Stop eating my trees, plants. Stop eating my shit. Get out of here. Beat it. Thank you, Gaia. Thank you for all those terrifying giant spiders in Australia. Hey, if anyone watches this from Australia, go close your windows right now. I know you forgot to close one and you're gonna thank me later for it. No giant spiders today, sir. So, she can use all of the spiritual energy of every living being on Earth, seeing as she's part of the Earth's life essence. She of course can manipulate weather, so if you're acting like a dick, she can just hurricane your town up for a couple days until you cool off. Using the Allspeak, not the Allspark, don't even think about comparing them, she can speak in every language of the 9 realms. I barely passed grade 9 French, so I mean, it's pretty impressive. Number 2, Surtur. We caught a glimpse of what this guy can do back in Thor Ragnarok, released in 2017, but what else is he able to do? I mean, who is this guy? Originally the ruler of Muspelheim, and as we saw briefly, the destroyer of Asgard. In the comics, Surtur was destined to be part of Ragnarok, all along, using the Bifrost and the Twilight Sword. He's also the mortal enemy of Thor and his father Odin, who I'll get into a bit later on. So how strong is he though? Well, he possesses the power of 1,000 blazing suns. That's right, not just regular suns, blazing suns. What? He's 1,000 feet tall, give or take, and can even change sizes, so it doesn't even matter anyways. He of course has super strength, but here's the best part. Whenever he's reunited with the Eternal Flame, scratch that, whenever he's even close to the Eternal Flame's vicinity, his powers increase drastically. I mean, already this guy's fire powers are so strong, he could alter the Earth's temperature. Super hot fire, Surtur spits that. And finally, number 1, Odin. By Odin's beard! Okay, like I mentioned earlier, of course, Thor's father himself has to be in this list. Also, this list isn't in any particular order, so don't be giving me in the comics, I'm just throwing them out there. Odin might be my favorite god on this list, simply because Sir Anthony Hopkins plays him in the MCU. The former king of Asgard himself, Odin, protector of the 9 realms, adoptive father of Loki and father to Thor and Hela, the god of thunder and goddess of death. Even us on Earth consider him the god of wisdom. I mean, Anthony Hopkins. Kinda makes sense. Not gonna argue it. Making his debut in Journey into Mystery number 86, Odin defeated Surtur when he was just a young lad. So his brothers had been killed by the fire beast, and then they gave their powers right to Odin. So from the start, this dude was shredded. He took away Thor's powers 3 times. 3. You think after losing that hammer the second time, you'd be like, alright, fine, I won't start any fights, you win. I wish we saw more of Odin in the MCU. I mean, hopefully we get to see a de-aged version with Anthony Hopkins kicking ass in a prequel, or even a flashback. I would settle for a nice, juicy flashback in Thor Love and Thunder. They're so good at de-aging over there. Besides Peggy Carter, they nail it. CGI mouth, I don't know, didn't work for me.